So here we have one of our demo scenes, which is called Underwater, and it's basically an environment that becomes alive. And here we are playing, so living the experience already. And now if I wanna edit, so I don't know if you saw a bit fast, I clicked on the stop button and then I can edit my scene. So I can add assets. Here I'm in the local library and I can browse the library and let's find, for example, another coral. There's a 3D miniature that appears and I just take it and place it wherever I want. I can scale it up and rotate it. And I'm basically snapping it on the ground in the position that I want. Now I want to add another fish, for example, so I can also search for assets in any of the libraries. So I look for fish and I have a few fish available. I can take the number 2 and it already has an idle animation. So it already looks alive. And that's basically how this scene has been built. Very, very simple with animals rotating around and some basic animation. You can already have a living environment. So now let's go and check another scene, which is also embedded in the app when you download it or install it. This is a series of exercises that we have and we offer for a user to get familiarized with Zoe and with the programming system. So we're going to do one of the exercises here, which is to show the nice job text that you can see and to show it only when we place the tomatoes inside the basket that you can see. So now I haven't done anything. If I hit play, I can already use like grab the tomatoes. This setting is already been done. They have gravity, but as you can see, the text is there from the beginning. So no matter if I put all the tomatoes in the basket, there's nothing that's telling the system to act on the text. So now if we check the interactions, what I need to do is to create a new one. And I'm just gonna call it, let's say, all tomatoes in. So I'm gonna check when all the tomatoes are gonna be put in the basket. And to start, let's hide the text. So there's already an interaction hiding several texts and labels in the scene. And I can just add a new action that is going to hide the bubble at the beginning, so the nice job text. And now the new interaction, the way I'm setting it up is that I add a condition, the collision condition. So I'm going to check when all tomatoes, so I have to add all of the tomatoes to the list as well as the basket. And I enable to require all because I'm going to check when all of them are colliding. And finally, I just have to do the opposite of the other interaction, which is show the text bubble. So when I hit play now, I can grab the tomatoes and start putting them in the basket. And now the nice job text appears. So that's really the basic of our programming system. You can see it's very intuitive. Everything is visual. And just the last thing to show you how you can actually change the whole setup of your scene. So we also provide a series of environments that you can choose from. And just with a click, you can load and you create a whole different environment. So there's hills, there's the space, and that also gives you ideas to start from when you are creating one experience. Here's how the interface on mobile looks like. You basically find, again, the same functionalities. You have the play button on the top right. You have the transform options for the assets on the bottom right. And then on the left, you can see the main menu. You have the same library that you can scroll and browse like in VR. Let's, for example, instantiate one asset, the apple, and this is just a bit different because there's no miniature. We basically hold on the thumbnail and we directly drag the object inside the scene. There's the interaction list, there's the different scenes and the scene setup that I just showed you in VR. What changes, of course, is the navigation. So we designed the application to work specifically for touch screens. So let me show you how we move actually in the application for creating. So for example, for rotating, I just use one finger, and it's gonna rotate around like a central point on the ground of the scene. Then in order to move around, so on the sides, left, right, forward or backwards with two fingers and dragging. And then I can also zoom in or zoom out with pinching, by pinching with my fingers. So we really are using very intuitive and basic gestures. And in play mode, it's more or less like any video game where you use the left joystick to move around, and then the right one to actually rotate the view of the camera. Now let's check how to place the assets, because yeah, that's also a great challenge for 2D screens. Basically, whenever you choose one of the models in the scene, you have the options that appear on the right. You can move them, so you have arrows on the different axes, and you move however you want. You can also rotate. It's also per axis, of course, and you can be quite precise. There are some snapping, some angles that snap. I think it's 10 degrees, for example, for rotation. You can also scale your object up and down, either at a uniform scale or also by axis. Like in VR, the way I place the coral, for example, you also have here a function which is snap to surface. So that allows to properly place the assets on the ground or on top of any other object. So basically to stack objects around, this is the way to go. And now let's switch also to the basic demo scene that we provide in the app. And I'm going to show you just the interactions, how they work here for mobile, because it's also adapted, and some of the conditions are adapted to specifically to mobile. So here there's a different exercise, and it is about showing the fire when we tap on one of the wooden sticks. And so if I hit play, you will see, for starters, that the fire is not visible. And then whatever I do, if I tap on the screen, nothing happens. So if we go to the interactions, we can see the last interaction, hide, plant, and fire, so that we understand that the fire is being hidden at the beginning. So the only thing I have left to do is to create a new interaction. And I want to use the condition of tapping on the wooden stick. So I add the tap condition. I choose the wooden stick, which is the bigger one, and then I choose the fire to be shown as an action. When you play, then if you get close to the stick and you tap on the screen, you can see the fire showing up. And so you can see that the system is really the same. The programming system is the same, and you just have specific gestures and conditions for mobile.